Ladies and gentlemen, coming right at you, it is the AEW All Out Review. Ladies and gentlemen, it is midnight right now, and I'm about to review this thing. I am so tired right now. Watch NXT UK TakeOver, watch New Japan Royal Quest, and AEW All Out. I've been watching college football all day. I am a mess, but I'm about to hop right on into this thing. Why? Because I love wrestling. I love providing wrestling for my fellow wrestling compadres on the Twitter timeline, So we're gonna hop right on into it. We're gonna start right at the top. Chris Jericho versus Hangman Page. I gotta say that they have the unfortunate task of following the Lucha Brothers and the Young Bucks ladder match that was just ridiculous. I'm gonna hop into that. So the crowd was kind of fatigued for this one. Also, the pay-per-view ran very long, like it ran an hour over, if I'm not mistaken, and the crowd was just very fatigued for this match. Also, to add to it, they worked a style to where they started slow and they tried to build up toward the finish, and following the Young Bucks and the Lucha Brothers that went 90-0 right out of the gate, it was a uphill climb for Chris Jericho and Hangman Page. I love Hangman Page coming out on the horse. He said he would do it, and he was a man of his word, and he did it. I thought the match was really good. This is not going to be a review to where I go move by move, because obviously you watch 3 hours of the pay-per-view, so you don't want to come in here and listen to a review that goes move by move. So I'm not gonna go move by move. It was a good match. Chris Jericho getting busted open, I don't mind that one bit. And looking at the match, look, with my heart, I wanted Hangman Page to win here because I wanted, he's a young guy and I really wanted to see him pull out the victory. But I totally understand why Chris Jericho got the victory here, and I'm about to get right on into it. Look, man, a lot of people had problems with this, and I knew I tweeted it before the match even started. I said Twitter is gonna be in an uproar no matter who wins this match, and sure enough, Twitter was in an uproar. Why? Because Chris Jericho won it and he's old. Look, here's my deal. AEW is going into TNT, and I get it. Hangman Page was the gutsy call, but Chris Jericho was the safe call. You're going into TNT, your first episode, and you want to draw the viewers in, and what better way to draw the viewers in than by having Chris Jericho as your world champion, because you're going to get a lot of casual people to come in and watch AEW on TNT, and what's the first thing that a casual fan says? Well, man, who's the champ? Like, who got the belt? And if they see Chris freaking Jericho with the title, they are going to be forced to sit there and watch, because it's Chris Jericho, man. The guy, sure, he is 48, if I'm not mistaken, somewhere around there, but he can still relatively go in the ring, so I don't have a problem with it. He's gonna be there full time, so he's not gonna do a Brock Lesnar and only be there for 1 week and then go on his farm somewhere. So I do not have a problem with it whatsoever. My heart wanted Hangman Page to win, but my head realizes the business behind wrestling, and the business is that you want to draw viewers in, and Chris Jericho is a big enough name to draw viewers in. You can always put the title on Hangman Page later on, if it's this year or going into next year. Whenever you want to put the title on Hangman Page, I don't envision Chris Jericho having the title for very long, because he's not really that type of person to hog a title. So I don't have a problem with it whatsoever. I like the match. Was it the greatest main event in the world? No, it wasn't the greatest main event in the world. I'll give you that. It was a good main event. So Chris Jericho picks up the victory. I don't have any problems with it. Moving on, we have the Young Bucks versus the Lucha Brothers, ladies and gentlemen. And I told you I wouldn't be going move by move. And looking at this match, what is the point of going move by move? We could do a full review on all of these moves that they did, which was just ridiculous. We had the Super Canadian Destroyer by Pentagon from the top of the ladder through a table, and we had so many of those spots to where it was just getting ridiculous. Like, at one point you're thinking, what can they pull out next, man? I gotta say, the one pet peeve peeve that I had about this match is that they did not climb the ladder enough for me. Like, okay, when you hit a Super Canadian Destroyer, like, you shouldn't be going out to set up a table. Like, climb the ladder and go for the title. That's one thing that I did not like about this match. One of the very few things, if probably the only thing that I didn't like about this match. We had phenomenal spot after phenomenal spot. At one point, I thought Nick Jackson was just dead. It was where at one point when he was climbing the ladder, reaching for the top of the ladder, and Pentagon just pushed him over the top of the ropes. And he barely made that table and almost knocked his head on the edge of the other table. And at that point, I said, man, Nick Jackson is dead. That's just it. So we had a lot of great spots in this match. They showed out. It was the match of the night. Not surprising whatsoever, because we figured that that would be the match of the night going into this pay-per-view. It was a phenomenal match. The Lucha Brothers, as expected by me, as called by me, picked up the victory here, maintained those AAA tag titles. But the story of the match was the post-match. We get two masked guys come out, laid a beat down on both tag teams, and surprise, surprise, it is LAX. That was my prediction. I thought that they would show up at All Out. They showed up and they showed out. What a pop these guys got from the crowd. It was just incredible to see the pop that these guys got, and I am so excited for these guys. I followed their every move in Impact Wrestling. They are one of the best tag teams in the world. I don't think they got the proper recognition for it. I've been feeling that way for a long time, and we'll see if they get the recognition for it going forward in AEW. There are so many great matches that they have set that can go down with LAX. I don't know if they're going to go by LAX anymore or if they're going to go by Ortiz and Santana, but nonetheless, you got LAX versus the Lucha Bros versus the Young Bucks. But what I want to see is LAX versus Private Party down the line. I would absolutely love to see that. But LAX came back. I love the debut. They wrecked shop on everybody in the ring and they just bounced. I loved every bit of it. So moving on, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to keep this thing rocking and rolling. We had Cody versus Shawn Spears. And I got to say, going into this match, like, it was questionable as to what MJF was gonna do. Was he gonna turn heel? Was he gonna stay face? I didn't know. We had Shawn Spears versus Cody, and I gotta say that I'm not that great of a fan of Cody's ring work, but he can tell a phenomenal story in the ring. He's always excelled at that. And we got a pretty decent story in this match. I thought it was a little bit too much when Tully and MJF got involved in the ring, but they kept it to a minimum in this match. And to see Arn Anderson come out, one of my all-time faves, I love the guy. The guy still in 2019 can deliver a hell of a spine buster, and he dropped one on Shawn Spears in this match. Cody would go on to pick up the victory here, and that caused a lot of angst in this match. It was a really good match. Well, I won't say really good match. It was a good match for me. The crowd was freaking hot for it. Like, right out of the gate, Cody comes with the suicide dive through the ropes to the outside, and the crowd is just all into this one. And the result of the match left a lot of people questioning it. I said that, look, wrestling logic dictates that Cody Rhodes should win here. He got nailed with a chair, and Shawn Spears has been rubbing it in his face all of this time, so Cody Rhodes, the face, should overcome the nasty heel here. But a lot of people wanted to see Shawn Spears win, and I was one of those people. I wanted to see Shawn Spears win here. My heart, just like Adam Hangman Page, my heart wanted to see Spears pick up the victory here. But nonetheless, I don't think Shawn Spears, a lot of people say, well, Shawn Spears is on a job squad now. Like, no, man, he lost the match against Cody Rhodes. The face should have won the match. It made perfect sense. It doesn't mean Shawn Spears is jobbing out. Like, let's give AEW a chance here to get TV going weekly before we say the guy is jobbing out. That is freaking ridiculous. But nonetheless, Cody picks up the victory here. We'll see how the feud turns out going forward. Maybe there are some more matches slated to go for it. We do not know. So moving on, we had Hikaru Shida versus Rio for a shot at the AEW Women's title. And I gotta say that from the start here, I was a bit disappointed that they did not hype up going into the pay-per-view that Shida versus Rio would be for a slot for the women's title. Now, a report came out from Dave Meltzer that may be the case, but that's something to me, in my estimation, that you should promote going into the pay-per-view. But nonetheless, I enjoyed this matchup. I thought it was a good matchup. It wasn't a great matchup in my opinion, but I thought that they did some phenomenal things. They told a phenomenal story where Shida kind of worked the heel role here, in the fact that she dominated the match and really beat the crap out of Rio. And Rio kind of worked the underdog role that Rey Mysterio normally works, and she did a fantastic job at it, got the crowd behind her, and I thought that this was a good match. I enjoyed it. Rio would go on to pick up the victory, and I gotta say that I thought that Shida was the best choice to win here, but I don't have a problem whatsoever with Rio pulling off the victory here. Pulling off the victory here, and she would be slated into the title match. I have no problems with it whatsoever. I enjoyed the match. I thought it was a good match. I thought it came at a point to where the pay-per-view needed picking back up. And I thought these ladies did a fantastic job of doing so. So next up we have the Best Friends versus the Dark Order, and I gotta say, this was the one match where I looked at the card and I said that if one match is gonna be meh, this was the one. And this match was decent at best. Like, what really hurt this match, the crowd is just not into the Dark Order, and not into them even from a heel's perspective, in that they want to boo them. No, they just kind of sit on their hands for the Dark Order. And I gotta say that for a team that's really dark, are portrayed as dark, they don't wrestle dark, and like, they're not a imposing threat in my estimation. But Stu Grayson is the one that I really like. He's very athletic and he can really go in the ring. He really pulled off some phenomenal moves in this ring. He had some great chemistry with the Best Friends, and like, I'm just not into Evil Uno as a part of the Dark Order. That's just my estimation. The crowd's not really into him as well. But what we got here was a decent match. The Dark Order would go on to pick up the victory here. We'll see how it turns out. The finish was a bit flat for me, and like, I didn't enjoy the finish at all, but it is what it is. The Dark Order would go on to pick up the victory. But post-match, Dark Order is trying to lay down the beat down, and the lights go out, and then I'm thinking, okay, is this the moment where LAX shows up? But the lights come back on, and it is Orange Cassidy. He lays out the creepers, and he stands tall with the Best Friends. They hug in the post-match. And Orange Cassidy, man, he is, my goodness, he is a divider on the internet, man. And like, there are people that absolutely love him, and there are people that absolutely hate him, man. They loathe the guy. And to a standpoint, to a certain extent, I get it. But here's my thing. If that's going to be his gimmick, then I don't have a problem with it. If he's gonna show up every so often and do his little kicks and be cool, look, I don't have a problem with it. But it's a gimmick to where I will fully admit that he is not somebody that could go after a world title. If you're having that type of gimmick, it's not someone that I would take seriously being in the world title picture. But he has found this niche, and if he stays in that niche, then I have no problems with it whatsoever. And the crowd, look, it's over. It is super over with the crowd. Look, at one point, I thought the People's Elbow was pretty hokey, but it was over with the crowd, and this guy is over with the crowd. No matter if you don't like it or not, look, they jump up on their feet when they see this guy. So I don't really have a problem with it. So moving on, we got Joey Janela versus Jimmy Havoc versus Darby Allin. Look, this was not listed as a stipulation match, and that made me upset. So what I wanted to see was weapons, and we got that right out of the gate. Right out of the gate, excuse me. As soon as Jimmy Havoc went to the floor and went under the ring, I said, thank goodness we are gonna get weapons in this match. Little did I know how crazy this match would be. We had Jimmy Havoc getting taped to a chair right out of the gate. We had so many crazy spots here, man. And I said I wouldn't go spot by spot in this review, but so many things where I said, oh my God, man. Darby Allin with the canisters or with the barrels. He takes a barrel and he just jumps straight back. And I'm like, man, the guy just goes through the barrel onto the steps. And I said, oh my goodness, man. And like just spot after spot where it's like, much like the Young Bucks and the Lucha Brothers, it's like, what are they gonna do next? What can you think of next? Like, what kind of sick spots can you possibly think of next, man? And like, just spot after spot. We had Havoc when in the beginning of the match, he stapled himself, and it's like, this is gonna get crazy. And arguably one of the best spots of the match, the skateboard with the barbed wire wrapped around it. Allin came in with the double stomp on the skateboard to Joey Janela for a great near fall. But at the end of the day, it would be Jimmy Havoc to pick up the victory. It was everything that I thought it would be. It was violent. It had to be violent. It had to be crazy. The only thing it was missing was a little bit of color, if I'm not mistaken. I don't think anybody got busted open, but I was fine with that. It was violent, and I loved every single bit of it. So moving on, we had Kenny Omega versus Pac. I gotta say, completely shocked that this was the second match of the night. Like, I was expecting this to be later in the card, maybe in that 9 o'clock hour, or in this case 10 o'clock hour, but it was the second matchup of the night. They wanted to keep the momentum going, so I understand it. What we got was a really good match, and even this one seemed to be a divider amongst the Twitter community. I thought that this was a really good match, bordering on great match. I enjoyed the heck out of it, and there were some people that were not into it, and I gotta say, you know what, to each his own. I'm never gonna argue that much on Twitter, but I enjoyed it very much. I gotta say that I picked Pac to win the match on the preview show, and still in all, it was a surprising result here. We had Pac put Kenny Omega to sleep for the win. We got a lot of great spots in this match, a lot of great back and forth in this match, but Pac put him to sleep. And I thought it was a stroke of genius because Kenny Omega, quote unquote, overlooked his opponent and had his mind on Jon Moxley. He had the promos against Jon Moxley, and he overlooked Pac, and Pac put him to sleep, quote unquote. And I thought it was a fantastic finish. The crowd didn't like it, but I was one to say that, you know what? I love that finish. Omega gets put to sleep. I guess it wasn't for everyone, but Kenny Omega takes the loss here. Pac picks up the victory in his debut match with All Elite. And after the show, Pac got into it with Adam Page, and it looks like we are headed toward Pac and Adam Hangman Page like it should have been from the start. So we'll see what happens there. I will be one to reckon that Pac and Omega isn't over yet, so we'll see what happens there as well. So moving on to the first matchup of the night, SCU versus the Jurassic Express. And I gotta say, man, this one was a great match, a great opener. SCU always delivers in their openers. And I gotta say that, man, the star, obviously, of this match, the future star for AEW is Luchasaurus. Man, this guy, to say he's so big, he is the true definition of the new age big man. can muscle around the big guys, can fly around the little guys as well. He went on a hot tag spree, which was just incredible, man. Reversals, plenty of reversals that ended with a choke slam. And I gotta say, like I said, I'm not gonna go spot by spot in these matches, but I enjoyed the heck out of this match. And what I enjoyed the most out of this match is that everyone got a chance to shine in this match. Jungle Boy got a real chance to shine. Even Marco Stunt got a chance to shine in this match. And obviously SCU got in their work moves and work as well. They shined in this match. At the end of the day, I really thought that they went with the wrong result here. Like, I'm not mad that SCU picked up the victory, but I thought that this was a fantastic spot to put Jurassic Express over, and I was a wee bit disappointed that they didn't get the victory, but I have no problems with SCU winning here, as I love me some Kaz, and I love me some Frankie, I love me some Kaz, and I love me some Christopher Daniels, as well as Scorpio Sky. They pick up the victory here. The crowd was on freaking fire for this. So as we move on to the Private Party versus Jack Evans and Angelico. This was a phenomenal match, and this came at a spot to where I didn't really get a chance to watch the entire pre-show. I didn't really get a chance to watch the Women's Casino Battle Royale. So I'll talk about that match a wee bit, but I got to watch Private Party versus Jack Evans and Angelico, and it was everything that I thought it would be. Had a fast start from the beginning. They didn't mess around. These are very athletic workers, and look, man, the Private Party, they are it in not Impact Wrestling. They are it in AEW, man. They are a phenomenal tag team, and what I like the most is that the crowd is all over these guys. And you know how they got over? They got over with their ring work. Obviously, their persona, their personalities, it is impressive. They have impressive charisma, but they can go inside of that ring, and I love Cassidy as well. That guy's athleticism is so underrated. When we talk about the most athletic wrestlers in the business today, we tend to leave that guy out. But as AEW gets on TV, we will see that this guy is one of the best things going as far as athleticism. The Private Party would go on to pick up the victory. The match was exactly what it needed to be. A fast match from the very start, and I enjoyed every bit of it. So moving on to the Casino Battle Royale, the Women's Battle Royale, I didn't get a chance to see it, but what I will speak on is the result. Nyla Rose picking up the victory. I don't feel like that was the best choice. I really felt like if you were gonna go with someone to really carry your women's division, I would have went with Dr. Britt Baker, but I can enjoy the fact that they took a risk here. Just like Hangman Page would have been a risk, not as much of a risk as Nyla Rose. Nyla Rose was a risk here, so they're really going all out with it. No pun intended there, and we're just gonna see how it turns out. Nyla Rose picks up the victory. I don't think she was the best choice, but I'm going to give her a chance. And we'll see how it turns out on the very first show, AEW on TNT. We'll see if she wins or Riho wins. It should make for a fantastic matchup because we have two contrasting styles. We have the big and powerful Nyla Rose versus the very speedy, athletic, and smaller Riho. So it should make for a fantastic matchup. I'm excited about it. So that is it, ladies and gentlemen, for the AEW review. Let me know what you thought, whether that's on Twitter at Too Sweet Pod or at OMG Corey B. Let me know all of your thoughts on AEW All